Well, Cannes Lions celebrates in many ways the effectiveness of branded communications and campaigns, but what can brands and indeed the marketing world more generally learn and keep an eye out for to make those even more effective? Well, one man that knows all about it is David Tiltman at WARC. You've released a white paper here at Cannes Lions.
Yep.
5 big things that marketers need to remember.
Yeah, so what we tried to do was distill all the thinking and learning that's out there at the moment. It's a fast-changing market, but a lot of the principles kind of remain the same. And so what we tried to do is boil those down into a few big things for marketers to think about. So there are 5 of them. The first one is the need to invest for growth. We went through a phase a few years ago where people thought they could take money out of paid media and get it all through earned media, through social media likes. We're starting to move back from that, and people appreciate that they actually have to spend money if they need to be effective. The second one is around the need for brands to balance their communications. So there's a lot of thinking going on at the moment about how you balance the need for short-term sales with long-term brand building, because it's a long-term brand building that's going to get you over the line year after year after year. If you're only investing in the short term, your effects are going to decay very quickly. The third thing we look at is the creativity. Well, that's why we're here, so here in Cannes. And it's very easy to say, well, just be creative and the sales will come. And there's truth in that, but actually how can you get a bit more structured in your creativity in terms of being emotional and being distinctive? What are the sort of things you need to think about there? The fourth one is planning for reach. This is about media investment. So there's lots of evidence that building a message as broadly as possible is the best way to drive effectiveness. And the fifth one is about branding and recognition. You know, if people only are going to spend a small amount of time paying attention to whatever communication you're putting out there, how are they going to know it's you? So we're seeing increasing interest in things like sonic branding, or in the what is known in the trade as brand assets, distinctive brand assets, where people will recognize where an ad is from the moment they see it. So they don't have to wait for a reveal at the end.
That's quite it's a 5-point tick list, but there's an awful lot to cover in that. How successfully do you think brands are doing this, and is it something that they can easily adapt?
Yeah, so there is a lot in there. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. This is why we felt we had to kind of raise the standard of debate a little bit. So generally brands or the more sophisticated brands are pretty good across this piece, but it's an evolving marketplace. So if you take the last one I just mentioned, planning for recognition, a few years ago we probably weren't talking about that as much. The evidence has been there for years, but it's only really with this rise of short form video, very short ads, very limited amounts of attention, that people are starting to think, well, actually, if I'm only being seen for a second, how's anyone going to know it's me?
But there are examples where sometimes the creative has been so good that people haven't got the brand associated with it. Is that a problem? Do you think they need to address that?
Yeah, sure, and there are ways to address that now. You can use, particularly some of the neuro testing principles. You can see when bits of the ad are being encoded into memory, and that's quite an interesting tool, because there's a concept called conceptual closure, where if you end the ad's kind of creative message before the actual brand kicks in at the end, people switch off. You know, they get to oh right, I've got the ad, I don't need to worry about who it's from. So the best advertisers understand this, and they bring their their brand into the kind of peak of the emotional performance of the ad.
How quickly is this going to kind of run out of steam, and there's going to be another 5 pillars that we need to address?
Well, I would say that these 5 pillars they're not new. I mean, what's new is that we try to put them into some kind of framework for people to think about. But a lot of the evidence that underpins this is decades old. And a lot of the time in marketing, because we get so focused on the new tech, you know, the new demographics coming through, sometimes we forget about some of the principles that people were discovering in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And a lot of this stuff's still relevant. And if you look at the work of someone like Byron Sharp, Professor Byron Sharp at the Ehrenberg Bass Institute, been very influential, but actually a lot of the thinking was there from the work of Andrew Ehrenberg in the 1980s. So we don't think that any of this is going to change overnight. You know, it's going to keep evolving. I think in 5 years' time we'll be talking about new technology. Sonic branding will have evolved into something else, but I think the principles that underlie it will be consistent.
David, thank you very much.
No problem, thank you.
Hi, I'm James Wright and thanks for watching Marketing Media Money. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thanks for watching.